The point is, breakups are hard as shit. And it's like, dang, how can we avoid them? I don't know if you figured out, you hit me up and we can really do some things together with that solution. But yeah, they're hard. The pain won't last forever, of course. However, if we do not tap into that pain, we will perpetuate that pain by bringing it into another relationship because we didn't reflect.
Hey loves! My name is Dantea and I'm your fave self-worth therapist and coach. And this is my show, Situationship. This show is about getting out of toxic situationships that go beyond partners to family and friends and everything in between, to living a life of joy and self-worth. Okay, let's get into it.
Welcome back, loves. Thanks for being here. I am not feeling well. Obviously, you can hear from my voice. But I still wanted to try to make a quick episode, just kind of like maybe my own little personal processing journal. And I wanted to talk about breakups, right? I think breakups can be very personal, can be very intimate, could be very secretive sometimes, right? And I wanted to talk about like, how can we still take care of ourselves when you're going through a breakup? So full transparency, I'm going through a breakup. The relationship is over. It's been over. However, when there's still a breakup, there's still weeks and months afterwards. Sometimes even like years, depending on like how you're operating, where you're still really kind of processing through what happened. And for me, when I go through a breakup, I need extra support, especially in those first like 2 to 4 weeks. I need a lot of support. And so I want to talk about like, how can you be true to yourself when you're going through a breakup and not feeling the need to perform in ways that people think you should, whether that's classic, like, let's go out, let's go club, and let's get you under a new guy, stat. If that doesn't work for you, then don't do it. Right? So number one, I really would love for you to allow yourself to sit with the hurt, sit with the disappointment, sit with the judgment, right? Like, you're going to judge yourself. You're going to think like, I could have done something differently. You're going to think, it's all my fault. You're going to think like, dang, I wish I never would have met him that day, right? Like, which is not totally true. Like, that day that you met, it was lovely. You loved it. You probably got excited like I did. Probably was thinking like, this is it. We're going to sail off into the sunset. And then when a relationship ends, you're like, dang, I wish I never met that person. That's not true. However, if that's what comes up, let that be the thing that comes up, right? Let that be the thing. Giving yourself permission for all those feelings, the hurt, the sadness, the anger, the grief, all of that. All of that. Feel like a failure, all of that, right? Like, because that's going to get you to the other side by naming the emotions that are coming up, by naming your truth, by naming even embarrassment, right? Like, I have embarrassment over my last relationship ending for many reasons, not because of him per se, but because of me, because of like how excited I was and how I just knew we aligned in so many ways and saw things, and also the ways that I performed, which in another episode when I'm feeling better, I really want to like dig into what has come up for me as I've been thinking about this relationship and how I showed up and how I added to all the things that happened. And I want to attach it to this book that I've been reading that I think is going to rock your world, because it's rocked my world, my core, my soul. We can talk about, because what I'm noticing is a lot of times these messages are, it's him, it's that, it's, what's the thing that's going around? Like, basically, if he doesn't call you back, that means he doesn't want you, right? Those kind of things. Okay, there's room for that. But there's also, how do we show up in these relationships where we're basically picking the people that are not actually what we truly need and want. We're just picking the people that allow us to act out the traumas that we develop in childhood. Does that make sense? Right? So that's what I'm going to talk about in another episode. But right now, we're just talking about like just dealing with the emotions of the breakup. Also being really honest with yourself, right? Like, am I allowing myself to cry? Am I allowing myself to get my needs met during this breakup? Maybe your friends are dying to reach out, dying to see you, dying to like hold space for you. You're just like, no, I'm just gonna suffer alone. Why, girl? Why? When I went through my breakup, especially those first 2 weeks, I had people calling me every day. Every day. And if someone didn't call me, I was calling someone else. Hey, do you have a minute to talk? Can I chat? And I would just cry. I would repeat the same scenarios as I'm trying to understand. Right? I'm an out loud processor. I like to process. I want to try to understand what I'm saying. And so just holding space, letting me talk for 20 minutes. Great. Thank you. Letting me cry, just listening, right? Not giving any advice, just really listening and saying, this is really hard. I'm so sorry you're going through this. And that's so hard, right? Later on, I was ready to be in a space where, okay, tell me what you saw. Later on, I was ready to be in a space where I allowed my friends to tell me how they were disappointed in him in other ways and how they were concerned about me and how I was showing up in that relationship in other ways, right? But I knew in the beginning, I don't need any of the critiques yet. I just need to vent and release and process. All right. Another thing that is, I don't know, how do I bring this up? Because I feel like we can make our own decisions, right? And it's important to think about when we're going through a breakup, do we want to stay in contact with our ex? Is staying in contact with our ex going to help us get to our healing, or is it going to prolong the pain? I can't tell you what to do. I know for me, I've stopped doing quick cutoffs because it just boomerangs me right back. Now, again, as I'm learning about myself more in this past relationship, as I'm reading this book, as I'm in therapy, I'm going to do things differently. You know, if I have another breakup in the future, which is all possible, right? Like anytime you enter a relationship, there's always that risk of it ending. You know what I mean? So for me, I did talk to my ex after we broke up for many reasons, right? Just the regular, like, organizing of things, the regular, like, I have questions about this, the regular, are we getting back together? Just this ritual of it, right? Because when you're used to talking to someone every day at certain times a day, you're gonna kind of still fall into that, right? And so we still spoke. We talked about many things. It wasn't just always just us. We just like life things, because he was also a really good friend. A really good friend. And I never thought I could say that about a partner. He was really good friend, and I do miss that friendship that he provided, what we provided to each other, right? So if you know that you're the kind of person where talking to your ex after the breakup actually helps to prolong the pain, then how can we pull in our friends to support us? How can we pull in our family? How can we pull in our community in other ways? Maybe you are part of like the Divine Nine, or maybe you're a part of like a workout group, right? Like how can we, you don't always have to talk about whatever, that being around people versus being at home alone and crying on the kitchen floor, right? Like this, just think about it. How can you get support? How can you let people foster and helping you with the self-care and self-compassion and all of that? It'd be very lonely, especially like when you go through a breakup. Doesn't it always feel like all of a sudden everyone else is in a relationship, or all of a sudden like all the movies and songs about I'm so in love and I'm so happy I found my husband, right? I feel like that's kind of like how it like lines up. So being mindful of that, like really thinking about, okay, what do I need? What's helpful? What's not helpful? Not what so-and-so would say is helpful, what you should do. Think about for yourself what is helpful. And also, if you are okay with prolonging the pain, like I was, then that's what it is. It's just what it is, period, right?
If you're listening to this episode, I bet you're wondering what behaviors you're doing that keep you from getting your needs met and ending up in situationship after situationship. I got you. I've created a situationship quiz and I'm so excited about it. Take the quiz to discover more behaviors and more tips for navigating situationships, because I know you're in more than one right now. No judgment, boo-boo. I used to have 5 situationships at a time. Yes. So you're not alone. You can find the quiz at www.dantea.co/quiz. That's dontea.co/quiz. I'll drop it in the show notes as well. Okay, back to the episode.
The last thing, like I said, it's going to be a short episode. The last thing is, when you are ready, go ahead and reflect on the patterns. I'm not going to ask you to reflect on your patterns, what you could have done differently right out the gate. Personally, I don't think it's helpful. I think you have to sit with yourself and get through your own quick, bigger emotions first, and then get underneath the pain. Then get to the patterns I'm trying to say, right? So reflect only when you feel ready, when you feel emotionally stable enough, right? Go talk with a therapist, whatever, if you're ready to like deep dive in sooner. Discuss with your therapist, discuss with yourself, like the value of noticing the reoccurring pattern. So I'll share for myself. For me, overfunctioning. For me, I love to nurture, I love to host. However, in a relationship, I can easily go from a basic like hosting and nurturing to like fully overfunctioning, fully mothering, doing all the things. It's like this desire to like be needed, which is not healthy. It's not healthy. Do I love taking care of people? Yes. But it was to a level of just over nurturing, maybe even codependency up in there, right? So really thinking about what am I doing to aid in this dynamic of the relationship, right? People pleasing, are we ignoring red flags? Were there red flags from the beginning? Over prioritizing, that's another way of saying like over nurturing, because if we're just over prioritizing our partner's needs, then where are we? Where are you? You are where you are, where I was your personal success and happiness is my responsibility. And that's just what I did because of childhood, right? So just things to think about. Again, you don't have to like dive in deep to it, but just something to think about. If you need some prompts, if you need a way to get started, you can ask yourself, what did this relationship teach me about myself? What might I do differently moving forward? Who may I talk to first? Like, again, when you're ready, talking to your friends, like, how did you notice me showing up? Also, my lovely ladies, when we are in unhealthy, like especially domestic violence relationships, just to kind of tie this in, a lot of times we go dark. We don't talk to our friends and families because that's what the abuser needs us to do, right? So I'm not saying that I was in one, in this past one, if you notice that and you come out of that, asking your friends, like, what did you see within me? Like, and your friends might say, we felt like you weren't really around as much anymore. I feel like I couldn't get in contact with you. So then what does that tell me about myself? That tells me that maybe I was over prioritizing. That tells me that my values got skewed, right? That tells whatever it tells you. Does that make sense? Hope it's making sense. The point is, breakups are hard as shit. And it's like, dang, how can we avoid them? I don't know if you figured out, you hit me up and we can really do some things together with that solution. But yeah, they're hard. The pain won't last forever, of course. However, if we do not tap into that pain, we will perpetuate that pain by bringing it into another relationship because we didn't reflect and we didn't stop to think about what happened. How do we want to show up differently? What are the patterns that's happening? What have I not healed within myself? What am I actually looking for? Do I actually want emotional intimacy? Do I want just to feel needed and look for another project, right? The point is, I want you to be kind to yourself. I want you to honor. I want you just to really be like I have a friend that would say this chapter is just really hard. And this chapter is really hard, right? This breakup is hard. I'm better now because the amount of time that has gone by. But for a minute there, it was really hard. And now I'm able to be like, okay, I can talk about it, right? So I'll keep you updated. I like go through this journey. If you have any questions, of course, hit me up. You know where to find me. And I believe in you. You got this. You're going to reflect. You're going to sit with your stuff. You're going to allow people to love on you and support you. And until next time, bye.
Thank you for listening to the show, loves. This show was produced by Mackenzie Mazel and me, Dantea. If you got a question you'd like me to answer, which I know you do, please send it to dantea@soireesandtherapy.com. That's SOIREES for soirees. When you do that, the answer might just become an episode, and I would love to keep talking about your question. Want to work with me? The link is in the show notes. I'll see you there, and I'll see you in the next episode. Okay.